everyone, I'm going to show you how I made this Mermaid Pusheen. It's not that difficult to make and the supplies are pretty inexpensive. I basically wanted to make this for my friend and I because we both really like Mermaid Pusheen and we both like making crafts. So I figured when those two powers combine, you get this Mermaid Pusheen! Let's get started! So here's what you're going to need. Some socks. One in gray for Pusheen's body, and one in the color of your choice for the mermaid tail. Some ribbon, again in the color of your choice. This will be for the flower in Pusheen's hair. Some felt. This can be in black or brown, and we're going to use this for the face, like the eyes and the mouth. Some scissors. Don't run with these, please. Some thread in the corresponding color of your ribbon and Pusheen's body. Some white glue. Some stronger glue. I'm using E6000 because it's really strong and flexible, like Elastigirl. Some stuffed animal guts, or cotton fill. And a ruler. One ruler to rule them all. Alright, that's all you're gonna need. Let's get started! So first we're going to make Pusheen's body. I started out by drawing the shape of Pusheen's head and ears on the gray sock, and because Pusheen Mermaid is sitting on her side, I put the head at an angle, so it's not going completely straight this way or that way. You kind of want it leaning on its side a little bit. And I'm going to just backstitch all along this line. The reason why I really like these plushy socks are because if you mess up a little bit or your thread shows, it's okay because the plush kind of just hides all your little mistakes. And it's also easier to sew with a bigger needle. So let's say you're a little scared to use a sharp needle, you can use a little bit of a duller needle and it'll work just fine. Alright, so I just cut around Pusheen's head and now I'm going to make this the length of the body. Take Pusheen's head and turn it right side out. Don't forget to push out the little ears. So once you turn it inside out, it should look something like this. Don't worry too much about the lumps. Once you put the stuffing in there, it should kind of even itself out. But the next thing we need are two little Pusheen hands. So take that extra piece of gray fabric and measure out 2 little feet. I actually use my fingers as a guide for this, so that might help you out when you're measuring yours. And do the same thing as the body and stitch around this outline, but leave the bottom open so we can turn it inside out. So once you've finished sewing up Pusheen's feet and cutting them out, you can flip them inside out to hide those stitches. And now we will see if they are the right size. And that looks good to me. So the next thing we're going to do is sew these little feet onto Pusheen's body. Take each foot and do a ladder stitch all the way around and make sure that it is secure. Because Pusheen will be laying on his side, you want to have the feet sticking out forward a little bit just so that it could support himself when he's laying down. We have Pusheen's 2 feet sewed on now, and the next thing we're going to work on is the face. For the face, you're going to take your felt fabric and you're going to cut out all the pieces you need. You'll need 2 eyes, 4 whiskers, some stripes for the top of Pusheen's head, and the mouth. Now that we have all the pieces cut out for Pusheen's face, we can start gluing it on to the body. For the whiskers, you only want to put glue on the very end so that it sticks out a little bit from his body. So just put some on the very tip. And see? You get this little piece that sticks out. Now that we have that all done, we're gonna put Pusheen aside and work on the tail. So for the tail, we're only going to need half of the sock. And I'm going to use this half up here for the body of the tail. And then I'm going to use this different color down at the toe and the heel to make the fins of the tail. So we'll start by cutting along. And I'm going to turn this one inside out because there's a significant difference from the inside and the outside. Now I'm going to do a running stitch along this end. Once you're done sewing up the end of the tail, you can turn it inside out. And this is what it will look like. So I cut out the toe of the sock, but as you can see, it's not really fin shaped. So what we're going to do is fold it in half and then cut a little V out of this middle section here. So now that we have our fin cut out for the tail, we're going to take our thread and we're going to do a ladder stitch all the way along this end and tuck in the seam so we have a clean edge when we're done. I finished sewing up the fin and I'm going to attach it to the end of the tail. To attach the fin to the tail, what we're going to do is do a running stitch around through the tail and the fin. Now that we have the tail all connected together and we have Pusheen all glued down, we're going to work on the flower because it's easier to sew it when you don't have it stuffed yet. For the flower, you're going to need your ruler, your ribbon, and the white glue. Now I know you're wondering, why do we need ribbon and white glue? Well, you are about to find out. Now we're going to do 5 petals. So we need to cut out 5 pieces. And I'm choosing to do 1.5 inches in length. You can make it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, depending on how big you want the petals. The next thing we need to do is stop the edges from fraying on the ribbon. You just want to coat the edge really thin to keep all those little fibers from fraying off. So you don't really need that much glue. So now that all the pieces have dried off, we're going to get to each petal. What you need to do first is take one end and fold it across like this. So you have a little kind of elbow going on there. And then take that and fold it back. And that is one petal. Now while you have one petal in your hand, you're going to run a stitch through it. So you're going to go down, up, down, up, and do a little running stitch. Okay? Next petal, fold it down and across, and then fold it down again. And you do the same thing as before. Down, up, down, up. Okay? Now that we have all 5 petals strung, I'm going to push it all the way down to the knot. Make sure they're all facing the right way. You're going to go back through that first flower petal. And you're going to pull all the way around. have something like this. Now with the thread still connected, I'm going to grab our pusheen. I'm going to put the flower right where I want it, and I'm going to stitch it on. So now we have Pusheen's front side and Pusheen's back side, and we are going to stuff them and put them together. Alright, now we're going to sew along this seam right here and attach the two parts. Alright, this is where you squish all the stuffing into the right spots. Ah! And there you have your very own catfish! Or mermaid pusheen, whatever you want to call it. But this was a pretty easy craft to make, and I'm sure you can find a lot of these supplies for really cheap around you. And I hope you guys try it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!